All right. So the economic reforms of President Tinubu has been so hard. That so many people are complaining about its impact. So watch this video so that you hear this analyst break down the implication of the fuel subsidy removal and other matters arising concerning it.
Continue to feel the danger of rising costs following petrol subsidy. President again defended his government's economic strategy. At the 17th Annual Banking and Finance Conference at the Institute of Bankers of Nigeria, President Tinubu argues that the removal of the petrol subsidy is not just a necessary evil, but a deliberate move to redirect funds towards critical sectors that need them most.
Is one of resilience, determination, and gradual recovery. However, during the aftermath of the COVID pandemic, inflation and inflationary pressures continues to press forward. Our GDP growth recorded at 9% in the second quarter reflects our commitment to laying the foundation for long-term stability and prosperity. The services and industrial sectors have been key drivers of this growth, showing that our economy is diversifying. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as a government, we have recognized the challenges and are deploying several initiatives towards addressing them. Some of these include macroeconomic stabilization measures. We have taken bold steps to reform the macroeconomic environment. Our focus is on restoring confidence in the Nigerian economy through measures aimed at reducing inflation, stabilizing exchange market, fiscal management. So painful in the short term, the removal of fuel subsidies is designed to free up budgetary resources for critical investments in infrastructure and social services, and frequent adjustment of the monetary policy rate, a move aimed at curbing inflation and fostering a more market-oriented exchange rate system.
Well, for more on this, the governing All Progressives Congress National Secretary Felix Morka joins me in the studio. Great to see you.
Good to see you.
Thanks for being here on the show.
Thank you.
Now, the government has been defending the removal of petrol subsidy. Once again, we heard that at the annual conference of the bankers yesterday, where Vice President represented President Bola Tinubu. But I think a good place to start would be to ask you, why does the government continue to insist that petrol subsidy is gone, given that recent findings indicate that subsidy on petrol has been reinstated? Is it not to be transparent with Nigerians and tell them the truth about it?
Thank you, Adeswa. Now, what has happened is not a function of politics or a proclamation by the president. It's a function of law. The Petroleum Industry Act eliminated the system of subsidy as we knew it under the former administration, Muhammad Buhari. Now, as of the signing into law of the PIB, petroleum subsidy was gone. That Nigeria, this new government has succeeded, President Buhari, could not, pay, subsidies because the law didn't permit it. So you couldn't budget for it as we did in the past years. So what President Bola Tinubu did on the day of his inauguration was simply communicate what the law had declared. And I think this point is critical to make, that we should be mindful that what the president did on the first day of his inauguration was to declare the state of the law. He didn't do anything of his own free will. It had been legislated by the National Assembly and signed into law by the previous. Now, with that said, you will attest, anyone who reads the national budget since the president came in, including some of the supplementaries, There's no provision for subsidies at all. Now, let me qualify what I'm about to say. But, I think this is just man. I don't speak for the NNPC or for anybody, but I speak for my party, the All Progressives Congress. What happened, in my understanding from reading the same information that you read, believe, is that the NNPC, being now a quasi-public-private entity, continued in some way, shape, or form, to some degree, to manage that, recognizing that a wholesale, complete, total removal of subsidy, in fact, further exacerbate, existing economic conditions for the time being. Now, that is for NNPC to explain, and I think they've, been trying and that. But the point I'm making is that that subsidy regime had become completely unsustainable. You cannot have a country where all of the gross earnings of a country subsidizing one single product for the people. I understand that historically we've created the dependency on subsidy. So our people are used to buying fuel, at almost nothing compared to what others are buying elsewhere. However, now that it's become obvious that we cannot sustain that system it was removed by law. Nigerians have representatives in the National Assembly. They could have told their representatives object to the removal of subsidy by private entity. It's a hybrid of both. And I think that if the president were, in fact, every morning telling the NPC what to do, how to do it, we will still be here discussing why is the president messing with the NPC. He is not messing with the NPC. He's allowing that corporate entity called the NPC to do his job, and that's what they're doing.
Great. I mean, some people will say perhaps it's time for him to mess with the NNPC as things are not going all well. But, given the immediate hardship caused by what we were told that gone, and from the books, it does show that subsidy was gone briefly for maybe 2 months, was reinstated. Given the hardship that this has caused, from food prices soaring, can you really convince Nigerians that, especially as critics say, even in this time of hardship, seeing austerity on the government, Nigerians in their best interest, as the government continues to say that it gets worse before it gets good. When will it get good, and how was this for the interest of Nigerians?
That's a good question. But look, first let me say that the president and all of us, who are associated one way or the other at the party level, are not under any illusion as to what is going on. These are policies that were intended to tackle the rot, the decay in our economy at their roots. They are not cosmetic measures that the president is throwing at the problem, hoping that it works. No, these are carefully thought through, designed, policy interventions that are meant to tackle, to stabilize and revitalize the economy of our country. And this were the problems we're discussing. I know we never have enough time to have this conversation, but the problems we're discussing, they run deep. They run deep from a long time ago through several administrations. There's no Nigerian family today that is living on just one income. Nigeria living on one before independence and through independence until today. One income. Like I said, from a product that we have no control over. How did that happen? With generations of leaders and presidents are through, military and civilian together. How come we're still at this level where we're in rudimentary programs of a country like
terminated by operation of law cannot be retroactively resurrected by a subsequent amended law. According to him, by September 4, Egbe Tokun was compulsorily retired by law.
as a pensioner who has retired, is he qualified to be an inspector general of police? What does the law say? Is now that is the president tried to elongate his tenure, is he going to be collecting salary as a pensioner or as an active police officer? Now that he has retired, is he qualified to be wearing the uniform as a police officer?